Welcome, friends. Welcome, community. Welcome back to the Heaven on Earth Prayer Collective. My name is Kaia Ra, and I'm the author of the Sophia Code. If this is your first time joining us for the Heaven on Earth Prayer Collective, a very warm welcome to you. And it's so wonderful to be back with each of you that we get to pray with every month together. Thank you for your understanding and needing to reschedule the prayer collective for this week. I actually, I actually lost my voice temporarily on my way back from Bimini, and maybe from having too much fun with our Sophia Circle leaders. For those of you who this is new information to you, we were just in the Bahamas swimming with some of the most friendliest wild dolphins in the world. Not only are they the friendliest, in my opinion, after swimming with dolphins in locations around the world, I would have to say I felt it was the most crystalline experience of dolphin consciousness that I had ever had. We were out there for 5 days with a group of our certified Sophia Circle leaders, and I'm so excited to share about what happened out there, because dolphin medicine has always been connected to Quan Yin's medicine for me in my heart. And that's the passage we're gonna focus on tonight, is Quan Yin and Quan Yin's chapter in the Sophia Code, and how Quan Yin, the way she mentors us in really receiving the truth of our inner child, which is an aspect of our higher self. And here we are the evening before a very powerful new moon in Leo. And tonight is the end of a waning moon. And I've always noticed that during that week before a new moon, there's a lot of emotional releasing that's happening. And so Quan Yin came in strong this evening. She wanted to share from her teachings that were so prominent during our time together with the dolphins. And so I want to thank you for joining me live tonight instead of last week. Thank you for your patience. It's so good to be back with you. And I think to open, I would love to call forth the presence of Quan Yin. My voice is still recovering. You might notice that. So I'm going to invoke Quan Yin, and of course the entire Sophia Dragon tribe, to be fully present with you and with our entire community listening live and on the replay. And I would like to welcome the presence of Quan Yin, who is arriving with both the Sophia Dragons and the dolphins, to bless us with her healing waters transmission as we prepare for this new moon in Leo portal. And from everything I've read about this new moon in Leo, there's some unexpected blessings that are coming our way, with a blessed trine with Jupiter, the sun, and the moon. But there's also going to be some unexpected letting go with the arrival of these unexpected blessings or breakthroughs. And so I know for myself that Quan Yin has been very much with me, along with Mother Mary this weekend, helping me in my own letting go, as to help me stay in the flow of where the currents of this new moon in Leo, this radiant light of Leo flowing through the sacred waters of that new moon energy, where those currents are guiding us to in the second half of this year on this 2022 dragon ride of sovereign soul events. And that's one of the big teachings that we received from the dolphins over our time with them. And that was how the community, and even interrelated pods, because very often we would notice that there were very unique families, pods of dolphins that would come and join other pods of dolphins to create greater experiences of community. So they all had their own identities as individuals, as pods, and then as a greater community. And it was fascinating to watch how, no matter what the dynamic was, these exceptional crystalline dolphins were always in the flow of the present moment, whether they were laughing or temporarily bickering or making love or parenting or opening up portals of sound for the entire ocean, as they were playing and moving and swimming and joyfully, revealing um, their unconditional happiness and acceptance of how good life is for them in this, underwater world that is their domain, that is their universe of divine love. It was extraordinary to see that how quickly each individual could fully feel their emotions, be witnessed by other dolphins in their emotions, and then move through it to stay in the flow with one another. And because these dolphins were so present within their present moment, meaning there was nothing else happening other than what they were directly feeling and experiencing in that moment, both in their own hearts and with one another, there was a truly authentic expression that was always in flow, both for the individual and for the community. And what was so fascinating to witness over, this week-long journey with our beautiful Sophia Circle leaders was that we grew closer and closer together through that same dolphin consciousness. We started to identify whenever there was a bit of a cogging of the wheels of the flow of the group, and we would take time to become fully present with what's happening in the field. Is there more than one person releasing? What's being released? How is our community feeling in this moment? How are our leaders, feeling afraid of their leadership or stepping into their loving care and leadership with one another? And if we, as a pod, chose to become very honest and authentic and fully present in the present moment, we stayed in the flow, and the flow meant miracles kept happening. The flow meant that we could be present with each other's feelings and still stay connected to this joy of communion. It wasn't a joy based in someone else's behavior. It was a joy based in the truth of the present moment, and the truth that there was a communion happening both in our own hearts individually, because of course we practice sovereignty, a sovereign spiritual journey with our own higher self and with Sophia or God, whatever you call God. But then there's this understanding that because everyone is sovereign in their feelings, and because we all understood how much we truly loved and respected one another, we were able to stay in this present moment flow that was outstanding. And so massive amounts of healing were able to transpire, while waves of creativity were also allowed to flourish, because we were taking the dolphins' lead. We were following how the dolphins, what we were witnessing them embody with each other. And it was so fascinating to discover that if we stay really present in the present moment to what's real, what's true, what's authentic to be present with through love, not only does our own hearts become truly deeply honored, acknowledged, and witnessed, and can stay in the flow of well-being, stay in the flow of what wants to arise next to bless us, right? Just like how we have this new moon in Leo coming up, it also allows us to stay connected to one another. And so over the journey of the week, I got to witness how our Sophia Circle leaders they got stronger and stronger in their ability to stay connected to one another and not isolate. That was a big thing that healed in this like small pod, which is like a microcosm of our macrocosmic community. One of the greatest woundings that I see in light workers, which Quan Yin is such a powerful spiritual mentor for, is the decision to isolate ourselves from one another when we are feeling pain, when we feel awkward, when we feel as though we don't belong. It was also really staggering for me to see such intelligent, magical, loving individuals wondering if they even were good enough for the very experience that they had manifested, that they had invested in. It was extraordinary for me to witness, like, if these individuals who I know work on themselves all of the time, are continually inside their daily practice, are struggling with these issues, how much more so are people all over the world facing this, light workers all over the world. And so it was extraordinary to witness the healing medicine that happens when community comes together over a duration of time and can stay together, can practice swimming together as a pod. And so I want to thank you so much for showing up tonight, to stay in the current of divine love, to practice moving as one body of light within the sacred heart of the Divine Mother, and to choose to shine in this new moon in Leo energy. The Leo energy is about everyone shining as the spiritual sons and daughters of the Most High that each and every one of us are in our own right. We are all equally sovereign and divine. We are all children of the one source, the one Holy Mother, Holy Father, God. And the Sophia Code as a platform and as a community is about each and every one of us shining as stars together, side by side, leading together, wing to wing and heart to heart. And so to be able to experience the joy of these dolphins and the bliss of water medicine healing, like water as an element of healing, water as an element of consecration, water as an element of rejuvenation, baptism, water as the element of the Divine Mother's amniotic fluid, where she, she lovingly holds us and floats us in this ocean of consciousness that we come from and that we return to, and by the way, that we exist within forever. This ocean of divine love. Thank you for choosing to immerse yourself in this consciousness, in Sophia Christ Consciousness today. So one of the things that I also wanted to share about community pod learning is that what was so fascinating was when one person was brave enough to leap forward and be honest about how they were feeling, the wounds or the memories or the trauma that may have been releasing in that moment of joy, because you can't be around joyful beings and not have things release. Like, this is actually one of the reasons why we mentor the Ascended Masters, because they're in a constant state of joy, uninterrupted joy, just as I witnessed these beautiful dolphins. They were never not in joy, even when they were experiencing like a bickering or a disagreement. They were still alive with the joy of life. And so when one individual felt brave enough to really let go and allow the rest of the pod to see them exactly where they were at, what they got to experience in such a safe space was that the very pain that they had felt was not unique to them. that they didn't have to self-isolate because every other member of the pod had felt some version of what they were sharing about. And there was a freedom and a liberation about clearly communicating that, hey, this is how I feel. And then the pod being able to communicate back and saying, and we know what that feels like. And you're accepted in this feeling. And I really feel that is where Quan Yin is welcoming us in this evening to this prayer collective. Quan Yin is already beginning to offer a transmission of her healing waters, the consciousness of her key code 6 transmission, Shiva 1000 waters. And the first transmission that she's offering us is to feel the light within your own soul, the waters of your own soul, the light, the radiance that you already are, that's here to bring comfort and joy and healing to anything that's been coming up for you this week, this weekend, that has felt painful or contracting or stagnant. And I'm welcoming the presence of Quan Yin to bring her hand gently to the back of your heart so that you can start to begin to feel how supported you are by her loving presence. One of the interesting things about coming in contact with Quan Yin, the dolphins, the Ascended Masters, is we are coming into contact with our true potential. We're coming into contact with a mirror of our honest capacity for joy. I had never experienced so much joy in 1 week. And what's so interesting is that when you touch into a high that is that beautiful on the spectrum of human emotions, it causes a recognition of how broken this world is, that it could be living in this much joy, but it's choosing to create so much pain for itself because it does not believe that it is worthy of this joy that we all know as light workers is our birthright. And so this evening, I would like us to open our hearts to come into communion with these beautiful dolphin spirits that are arriving to bring great healing and recognition to your heart and to your inner child, that know that joy is possible even in these times that we are living through. And that's saying a lot because the times we are living through are extreme. And most of the humanity is being whipped up into a collective fear that is a staggering dark cloud over the planet at this time. But let me tell you, under the sea, these dolphins are literally leaping in joy. And they are beckoning us to remember that that joy doesn't come from anything outside of us. It comes from knowing who we really are through our communion with the source, through Sophia, through whatever you call God, Divine Mother, Divine Father. And so with Quan Yin at your back and these beautiful dolphins swimming towards you at your heart, I welcome forward the presence of your inner child to be a part of this evening's healing transmission and a part of your prayer. I feel as though there is a big prayer tonight for each and every one of us that wants to live in a sustained embodiment of joy. And so I'm welcoming your higher self and your inner child to begin to fill your consciousness, your heart center, and your body with a tingling sensation of recognition that you've made contact with the larger part of you. That there is a prayer that is praying you, There's a journey of joy that you chose to embark upon in this crazy, mixed up, inverted world of a matrix. You are going to take a stand for joy in this lifetime. And I don't know what you may be going through. It might be quite a lot, but I want you to know that no matter what you are going through, it was the joy that you feel for God and for life, for the angels, for all that is good in this universe, for creation, for the love that you feel for this planet, and for the joy that you feel for the children, the starseed, the joy that you feel for the animals of this planet, the joy that you feel for the light workers that you are connecting to across the world right here and right now in this moment. That joy is why you came here. And Mother Mary teaches us that joy is actually a divine virtue of your soul. So it's not something you have to conjure. It's not something you have to create. It's something, joy is a virtue that you already are. And it is with such great courage that you descended into this world and you became a human being, living a very human being life, to radiate this joy that you already are, that you already possess here in this lifetime. And this joy is guiding you. It's guiding you through this new moon portal. Otherwise, you wouldn't have magnetized this prayer call. You wouldn't be here in this moment. And so Quan Yin is asking for me to turn to this passage in the Sophia Code right in this moment. And you're welcome to either stay in a meditative space with Quan Yin and listen as I read it aloud, or you can read it aloud with me. Because here's the thing about having a prayer for joy, to embody the joy that you already are. That joy may be buried under layers of grief or trauma or anger or control because you don't feel safe to express your joy in this world. And that's fair. That is fair. I had an experience over this weekend where I cried for 4 hours straight. It was a miracle. I could hardly ever cry for longer than 10 minutes. But something was thawing out in me where I could finally feel the terror of my childhood in a whole new way. But do you know why that happened? It happened because I came into contact with the healing medicine of joy for such a sustained period of time that it was able to create an earthquake and thaw out the next layers of trauma that were ready to be healed in my heart and in my life. And so I think people, I know from myself, from everything I've watched about humanity, we often think that joy is somehow separate from our experience of grief. But I want this to really come through for each and every one of us with Quan Yin's powerful support. Joy is who you are. Joy is who you are. It's like the sun at the center of your chest, right in the middle of your heart chakra, the star at the center of your being. That's who you really are. And it is guiding you in how to break free, how to become truly authentically present with the healing, the cleansing of the layers of shame and pain and trauma of incarnating in this lifetime and in other lifetimes where you have not been treated with respect for the joy that you bear for life in this world. And so when we come into contact with who we really are, people don't understand that often there is this crashing that happens. It's because when you touch into the light of who you are, you actually have more access to the light of who you are to face that which was too painful to face before, to finally be present with the hard feelings that may have been too hard for you to be present with before. It's coming into communion with your joy, with the divine love that you are, with the remembrance, the recognition of your powerful angelic mission and purpose for being here. That's when you remember, of course, I am so worthy of living a joyful life, filled with the blessings of God that are always flowing to me, and to stay in that current that my inner child and my higher self and all the different parts of my consciousness so very much want me to remain steadfast in that current of life, leading me to even greater joy, even greater feelings of connectedness. When we allow ourselves to swim even just a little bit in that current, we start to notice the whirlpools of pain, the time loops of pain that have kept us from that current. And the way to move through and break free from those time loops is to become present with all of it. I am joy and I can cry my eyes out with pain. I am in unconditional happiness. I can actually experience my sadness in such fullness, it becomes the cleansing rains that purify my heart for joy to reign free in my heart. Like, I can experience the divine love while feeling all of the regret, even the unforgiveness for that which is honestly unforgivable, but must somehow be forgiven in its own time through the power and presencing with our inner child, through the acknowledgement and the healing of grief and their timing. And that is why we turn to this passage on page 250 in the Sophia Code. And this passage became so prevalent and so powerful for our dolphin journey. I'd love for us to revisit it together. I'm reading from the last paragraph on page 250 in the Sophia Code. This is the word of Quan Yin. Your greatest teacher for learning the importance of karuna compassion is your inner child, who is also the face of your innocence. The voice of your inner child speaks from your heart, acting as a guardian angel for your commitment to bestow the karuna of self-love upon yourself. When you are too enamored with social conditioning to give yourself the compassion that you deserve, it is your inner child who steps in to keep you honest. Sudden feelings of anger, disappointment, and sadness can all act as messengers from your inner child when you are refusing to give karuna compassion to yourself. Karuna is often described as the devoted, loving compassion that a mother has for her child. I offer to you that embodying this definition begins with you becoming the inner mother and father to your own inner child. In the journey of parenting yourself, you will come to find that it is your own innocence that knows the exact words and self-loving actions that you need to receive from yourself for healing your deepest wounds. When your inner child is honored with karuna compassion, they will eventually reveal themselves as the phoenix child within you, which is key code 444 of the Sophia Code. The phoenix child is the invincible embodiment of your innocence that was never harmed in your suffering. Key code 444 is your own angelic nature that arises again and again from the ashes of the past with the power to unconditionally love yourself and all others with the wisdom of compassion that has survived with you. When you practice holding yourself with great tenderness, you eventually become whole in your relationship with yourself. You trust yourself. Emotional safety becomes an established foundation within you. These feelings of safety and wholeness within yourself allow for you to reconcile with the truth of your sovereign divinity. It is from this foundation that Karuna compassion can then initiate you into the greater depths of compassion available to you as a Christed being. And I'm hearing from Quan Yin to also add in that last sentence, it is from this foundation that Karuna compassion can then initiate you into the greater depths of joy available to you as a Christed being. So, what is this passage offering us this evening? Well, when you are honest with yourself and with others about where you're really at, and you really take time to honor the parts of you that are healing, those parts of you have an opportunity, they have a willing space within your own heart to transform, to return back to your natural state of joy, your birthright of happiness, to not be held frozen in the past. And I got to see that with the dolphins. It was extraordinary to witness so many people overcoming some of their terrifying fears from the past. We had two individuals that overcame an extreme fear about swimming in the ocean. By the end of the week, they were swimming with joy with the dolphins. Was it because all of a sudden they were spontaneously healed? No. Every day they got into the water with the rest of the pod, the rest of our community, and they practiced swimming exactly where they were at with their feelings of fear and terror and the unknown. It wasn't by hiding it from us that they were afraid. They were very admittant. They listened to their inner child. They used extra flotation support. They swam at their own pace. They swam with one another. And by the end of the week, they were actually swimming on their own with dolphins. It wasn't because they skipped any steps. It was because they took every step that their inner child genuinely needed to feel resolved and honored and seen. So, what does this look like for you on this new moon? What kind of commitment in this beautiful new moon in Leo would you like to make, a prayer that you would like to make with Quan Yin to become very, very honest and clear with yourself so that you can receive greater depths of joy as a Christed being, with as a higher, as your higher self embodiment, loving and caring for your human embodiment as a mother and a father would for a child. How are you ready to be cared for by yourself, by your own heart this evening? I welcome the presence of Quan Yin and your inner child to come forward and to embrace you. I welcome this beautiful consciousness of the dolphins as well as the Sophia dragons to surround you in their grace. You may have come to tonight's prayer call with a concern. I open up this space in a space of silent prayer and meditation for you to be with your prayer, with these loving, kind, gentle, supportive beings that are inviting you to your truth in this present moment. It's your powerful invocation for this new moon, for self-love, self-compassion, for parenting your own heart so that you can experience greater joy in this new moon cycle. And I invite you in this moment to reflect upon what is a self-love practice that you have been bringing to your own heart over this past month that you would like to appreciate yourself for. A self-love practice that has connected you to your inner child, that really honors the parent within you, that is parenting this inner child. For myself personally, I've been coloring more. I find it incredibly relieving, peace inducing, creative, fun. When I'm coloring with friends, it's amazing the kind of conversations that come up. And we included coloring during our dolphin journey. And it was amazing to see how many people enjoyed coloring with one another and all the different ways that it invoked their innocence and their creativity and allowed for their inner children to come forward and be seen. How would you like to appreciate a way that you've been parenting your inner child, which is actually another way of loving your own heart? Let's take this moment to thank yourself. Hey, mom, dad within, doing really good. That was a really big deal. And as you wrap those loving arms of appreciation around yourself and embrace yourself in that heartfelt hug, I'm also witnessing the presence of Quan Yin coming forward with a message for us this evening. And she's saying to each of us, you are all far too hard on yourself. For each and every one of you has come to heal lifetimes of grief and pain in this lifetime. To not only return to the heart of joy that you are, but to return humanity to its heart of joy. No small task. And Kuan Yin is waving her arms open, like in this arc motion. And it's this portal of light is opening up before you. And she's saying that it's this portal to that heavenly consciousness of joy. And you may feel it flowing to you like ocean waves or light waves. You may begin to hear the singing of dolphins or the singing of angels. I mean, honestly, the dolphins are, I believe, a form of angelic beings. You may hear the sound of whales. You may hear the sound of different birds. You may feel the rays of the sun flowing through the current of waters that are rippling over your face, down the back of your head, down the back of your neck. You may feel the current of these healing waters of joy that Kuan Yin has opened a portal for you to bathe in. You may begin to feel yourself wanting to lean back and flow upon those rivers, that river of joy and of life. And it reminds me so much of the river from Kuan Yin's key code initiation in the Sophia Code. And I'm going to read from that initiation as you bask in Kuan Yin's loving care for you. From page 254 of the Sophia Code, the river speaks. You have come to meet a spiritual ally for the healing and empowerment of your human journey. In her eyes, you will receive a powerful reflection of your true self. Allow my waters to safely float you downstream to meet this friend. To my surprise, the river's strong current responds to my trust by gently parting as I step forward. Within the current, a pathway of minimal resistance swirls open, for you to wade through. The water's intelligence carefully embraces you, and you submerge within the river's central current. Your higher self directs you to let go and to lean back into a floating position. It is safe to trust the step-by-step guidance of your higher self and to choose to let go. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. As you lean back, you begin to feel your body held by 1,000 unseen arms. They gently cradle your body's descent and support your awareness to surrender and float upon this river. Completely supported by 1,000 unseen arms, your muscles relax and you begin to drift peacefully downstream upon the river. And as you float upon this river, there's the next prayer that is arising as your new moon intention. And it's the prayer to stay in the current of well-being, whatever that is for you, the current of creativity, the currents of success, the currents of abundance, the momentous flow of goodness that seeks to bless you and flow into every area of your life. How are you willing to let go and stay present in this flow? Is it by always feeling happy? Or is it by staying in the flow of wherever your heart needs you to go and be present with? To stay really present with your own heart. And to remember that your higher self is the current that you are floating upon. It is the ocean of consciousness that you are a manifestation of divine light, an ocean of divinity. You are a Christed being having a human experience. And as you float upon these rivers, these holy waters of your own divinity, you start to realize that the pod of spiritual healing dolphins, they're swimming beside you, they're floating beside you, they're clicking, they're communicating, they're laughing, and your body begins to tingle with their joy. It begins to be filled with a remembrance of different colors of healing light. And you are invited in this moment upon this river of life to speak your prayer, your intention for staying in the flow of your well-being. Doesn't matter what's happening in the rest of the world. What do you want to have faith in? What do you want to stay focused upon? What do you want to stay in the current of? Is it abundance? Is it love? Is it healing or empowerment? Is it connection? What brings meaning and comfort to you? Is it knowing how much God loves you? Is it all of these things? Let your molecules sink deeper into this floating sensation as the dolphins joyfully click and swim beside you. Their fins, a part of the thousands of unseen hands that are supporting you, embracing you, loving you. And as you start to feel the current speed up a little bit, it's still comfortable. And it's guiding you to this beautiful bay of water under this sky full of sparkling diamond stars. And you start to notice that some of the stars are descending down towards the river where you're floating, and the dolphins are guiding you, and the dolphins begin to create a circle of light around you. And they begin to expand the circle. You start to notice there are pink dolphins, there are turquoise dolphins, there are, of course, these beautiful gray dolphins. Their eyes are so friendly. They're cheering you on. And Quan Yin is above you, floating floating above you. She's on the back of her Sophia dragon. And she's creating that, she's opening the portal above you for those stars to descend down. And out of the stars emerge your star family, different forms. Maybe it's your star mother, or your star father, your star brother, your star sisters, your pod from another timeline, another place in the universe. They're a part of the 1,000 unseen arms that are carrying you, supporting you to grow and to flourish in your light and in your joy in this lifetime. Regardless of all outer circumstances, you are the goodness that blesses this earth. You are the light and the peace of God within human form. And your star family is bringing a very special healing to your heart, because I'm feeling a crying out from our community, as though how much you might feel like you miss your star family. You might feel like you miss another part of this universe that lives in a far greater peace and creativity and well-being than what you see here on this planet at this time. And your star family and these dolphins and beloved, powerful Quan Yin are creating this unbelievably powerful quantum field of light around your physical body. And you may feel the energies, the different imprints of sadness or grief or anger just coming to the surface, but it's in a suspended state of grace, so that very much like when you watch the dolphins swim under the ocean, you see the emotions arising very quickly and then they dissipate because they're so fully felt. And so there's this accelerated cleansing in this divine moment of grace, where your prayer to live in greater joy, to stay in the current of goodness that you are and that you deserve to live in this lifetime. This is a blessing to help accelerate the cleansing that's happening during this waning moon period. It's opening your heart up to the unexpected miracles of this new moon in Leo. You may feel your heart chakra expanding wider, or you may feel different edges of your heart being worked upon, bringing that healing light, that energetic cleansing light, blessing your heart chakra. If there's any discomfort, just let yourself know that it's safe to feel exactly what you're feeling. You are literally surrounded by countless beings of divine love, your star family, the ascended masters, and most importantly, your own higher self, who is orchestrating this entire healing in response to your prayers. And the Sophia dragon that is with Quan Yin is, she's sending out this blessing from her mind. The dolphins are extremely telepathic, and I loved watching how the dolphins and the dragons would interact when we were out there in the boat. And the dragons are transmitting a message to the dolphins, and there's this, looks like this wrapping up of your body in this cocoon of crystalline light. It has these beautiful iridescent crystalline dragon scales, but it's also smooth like the skin of a dolphin. And the Sophia Dragon's message for us this evening is, it's safe to transform amidst such unsettling times of change, they said. Oh, okay. So the Sophia Dragons are showing me how because the everything in the world is so unsettled and so destabilized. It's causing light workers to freeze up in their journey of healing work. And the Sophia dragons are saying, no, 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 no. Remember how protected and guided you are. Remember that you have always had more than enough. Remember that there's always more coming. Remember that it's safe to take care of you first. And that by doing that, you are in a position to give more to others when it is time to give of yourself. And they are reminding you to drink in this cocoon, this quantum field of just epic divine feminine healing that's flowing to you right now. And you may even feel the presence of a starship that's sending you a lot of loving, healing light. And the presence of the Divine Mother who is calling into your heart. She says, remember me, remember me, remember me. When you are afraid, call upon me. When you are sad, call upon me. When you are terrified, remember me. I am all that is. I created all that is. I am the source of your love, and I am the source of your prosperity. I am the source of your life. Call upon me. Children of the sun, children of the one. You are my ambassadors of grace. And beautiful Divine Mother Sophia, her presence of light is engulfing you in this baptismal moment of peace, serenity. And you realize that you are floating in that amniotic fluid of Divine Mother's consciousness. Her primordial womb space is so radical, it's so powerful, it's such pure essence, it's untouchable. It's an immaculate, the space of immaculate conception. You're touching into that 0 point from which your soul was given birth. Your sovereign divine soul. That reset to that moment you were given birth into this multiverse of form. With your soul family. And for just a moment, expand your consciousness to realize that in this ocean of light and womb are all of your other community members that are being bathed in this baptism of reassurance and divine love. And Divine Mother Sophia is sharing, like, it's so important to not judge yourself for when you feel as though you're falling from what you know is true about reality. As an embodiment of joy in this world, you are actually swimming against the current of animosity and divisiveness and hatred on this planet. That's being perpetuated by so many agendas. But Sophia is saying, follow my current, stay within my light, surround yourself with the Sophia Dragon Tribe, activate your divine genome and remain in that light. And my current, that sovereign Christ light, will part the seas of consciousness of humanity for a new generation of sovereignty to arise. That is the prayer that you are living and breathing every day. And so Sophia is asking you to take refuge in the sanctuary of Quan Yin's healing light and her mentorship. Because Quan Yin is teaching us that it is our willingness to stay present to our own hearts, to continue to bring love and patience and build trust with our inner child, the different parts of our consciousness that have been wounded by the human experience, to bring them back into this light through your loving, prayerful attention. It keeps you in this current. So when you grieve, you are in the current. When you let yourself grieve, you have not left the current of divine love. When you allow yourself to be present with righteous anger or your fears, you have not left the current, Sophia says. You are becoming more present to that which has kept you from the fullness of your joy, swimming within that current. And it is by knowing that you could never leave this current of divine love that allows you to feel safe enough to keep swimming. Keep swimming with your pod. Keep swimming with your community. Keep swimming into the depths of Christ consciousness that you are. Don't hold yourself back for the pain of this world. It is your willingness to swim on, to shine on, to lead on. That is what transforms the pain of this world. It's this journey that each of us are on to be so closely held by our own heart that no more separation can abide within any of us, which means we each are experiencing ourselves as such whole and complete beings that are co-creations with one another. Our prayers, our meditations with one another, they become this glorious light, a beacon of attunement for so many other people that so desperately want to find this current of consciousness, to be liberated by it. So as Divine Mother offers this evening, be gentle with yourself, dear ones. Be gentle with these hearts. And as we close this prayer collective call, I welcome you to feel and to gather all of these remarkable energies that are now a unified field surrounding you, both within you and all around you, to visualize the blessings, the healing light, the extraordinary peace that passeth all understanding that comes from our communion with our guides, our higher self consciousness, our divine mother, divine father, God. And we seal this transmission into every cell of our bodies because we command it to be so. We allow ourselves to bask and marinate in the blessings of Quan Yin and Sophia, the Sophia dragons and these dolphins throughout this evening and into our week, opening the stargate of this new moon portal to deeply bless and guide us, to let go and remain in the flow, in this current of divine love that seeks to prosper us in all ways. No matter what anyone else is choosing, we can remain in the flow, the very powerful stream of consciousness that is keeping goodness in its orbit in all ways. I welcome the power and presence of our collective I Am Presence, the Sophia Dragon Tribe, to now close this ceremony to help adjust your chakras, your physical body, your emotional body, your mental body, all of your light bodies, to acclimate and integrate this evening's healing light, this transmission, to open your mind to new divine solutions, to be willing to receive new relationships, new magic, new opportunities for growth, connection, to become very conscious and clear when we want to isolate and hide, and to choose to stay with the pod, to keep swimming in this current of Christ consciousness that seeks to bless us in all ways. I give thanks to Quan Yin, to all of the Sophia Dragon Tribe, to these wonderful dolphin guides, and of course, from which everything comes from, Divine Mother Sophia, Holy God, herself. I give thanks and I close this ceremony with all the love in my heart for everyone and everything that wishes us well. Thank you so much for being a part of our sovereign sanity. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being a part of this very powerful prayer collective gathering. It's been so wonderful to share some of the insights with you from our most recent Sophia Circle Leadership Immersive. And for those of you who would like to join us in Sedona, I cannot tell you how excited I am to share this consciousness with you for our psychic development training that's coming up at the end of August. It was extraordinary to watch how much everyone's psychic centers were cleared and opened by being in community together, by focusing upon this consciousness that the dolphins represented so well, the Sophia Christ Consciousness that we've been teaching about for years, but clearly is becoming more and more strongly embodied by our leaders and by our community members in such remarkable ways. I invite you to experience what quantum learning feels like in the pod of community, in one of the most powerful vortices on the planet. Sedona used to exist underwater, and so all of that red rock is sediment, ocean sediment. And I've always felt the dolphin consciousness in Sedona, and I'll often see dolphin spiritual guides swimming in the air between the red rock formations. It's extraordinary to feel the connection between the dolphins of Lemuria and Atlantis and those red rocks in Sedona. And that is a big part of what we're healing when we are inviting the activation of our psychic development and for our leadership and our powerful gifts of magic and manifestation. What we are saying is, I will no longer be held hostage by the pain and trauma of previous golden ages when psychic development was so prominent. So Lemuria and Atlantis are often fantasized about because psychic development was so encouraged and prevalent, and there were so many activated, very psychic, intuitive beings practicing very high magic. But as we all know, the human ego structure got out of control, and there was a cataclysmic planetary time bomb that went off. And that's part of what our leaders were healing when we were in the Caribbean. We were healing that chasm, a soul chasm, as we swam over the remains of Atlantis. And in this consciousness, this extraordinary consciousness of Sophia Christ Consciousness with the dolphins, embodying it with such joy, I get to witness that when we let go of our grief and our trauma and our shame, when we really process it together as community, to let go of all of the ways we've blamed ourselves for what's happened in our learning experiences on this planet in the past, it opens and frees our hearts and all of our psychic centers to come online and become the unified field of conscious leadership, sovereign divine leadership that we want to serve with in this world. We become a clear space for our gifts to shine, for our intuition to be fully recognized and acknowledged of how it can keep us in the current of abundance and well-being and health and success and connection and community. Regardless of all world events, this is what we are invoking as the Sophia Code community. And so if you would like to learn more about joining us in Sedona, I welcome you to reach out to our team angels. They're happy to share more with you. We also have an additional psychic development training that's happening in Scottsdale, Arizona in October. And this is for how to share messages from loved ones on the other side with your clients, your family, your friends, and your community. It's called Love from the Other Side. And I'm really looking forward to sharing more about that training as well in the coming weeks. So we have so much really beautiful events coming up, as well as our Sophia Circle Leadership Certification training program, which begins in September. And I just look forward to being in community with you, to supporting your leadership to thrive in these extraordinary times, and to offer you every tool that I have for your ongoing success. I love you all so much. From my heart to yours and from all of our team angels, Thank you for your continued support of the Sophia Code movement. God bless you. Sophia blessings. And we'll see you here next month for our Lionsgate Prayer Collective call, which we're going to have free Lionsgate August 5th. Look forward to that special announcement. Couldn't be more happy for our Lionsgate ceremony to be happening as a free sponsored prayer collective ceremony. Look forward for those details in your inbox from our mailing list. Have a beautiful, blessed evening wherever you are, everyone. All my love. Namaste.